Hello, everybody. Tim Hughes here. I'm the author of Social Selling: Techniques to Influence Buyers and Changemakers. I'm also the co-founder of Digital Leadership Associates. You can find us at digitalleadershipassociates.com. I've got with me Gabe, and it's great to actually have you on the show. Your videos on YouTube, how to use things like Sales Navigator, will get 2,000 views, which in our world is a lot. Great to have you. So introduce yourself and tell people where they can get hold of you and what you're doing and stuff.
Awesome. No, it's a pleasure. It's an honor being here. Like Tim says, my name is Gabe Villamizar. I'm the head of B2B marketing at Lucid Charts, Lucid Software. My story, I can hear an echo. Is that just me?
There's a very slight echo on the line.
Yeah, so I graduated from UVU college, university about 4 years ago, and I jumped into the SaaS space, B2B SaaS space at InsideSales.com, and I was an accidental software employee. I didn't know what SaaS was. I didn't know what any of this software or SaaS entity or realm, and I came in as an inside sales rep, as a BDR, SDR, pretty much a glorified name for a setter. And I was just making $80 a day, and it sucked. It was just like, I can't believe I went to college to really just call all day, all night, and just email people who didn't want to talk to me, email people. So I was pretty much doing cold calling and cold emailing. And then I thought, I'm good at marketing because my degree's in marketing. Or I thought at least I was good at marketing. And I'm really good at social media because I grew up with it. Right? Or at least I thought I was good with social media. What if I could combine the triangle of marketing, sales, and social media in order to accelerate the whole sales process? And we're talking here about 3-4 years ago. Social selling wasn't really a big thing as the way as it is right now. So long story short, for 3 consecutive months, 3 or 4 months, I destroyed my number. I was the top performing sales rep on my team. And everybody's wondering, Gabe, what are you doing? What techniques or strategies can you show our team so that everybody can scale your efforts and get the same results? And at the time, Ken Krogh was the president and founder of InsideSales.com, and Dave Elkington was the CEO and founder. So they pulled me aside and they wanted me to just teach the secret sauce or teach the magic sauce to all 60 plus of the sales reps. So I got pulled from sales, and I got pulled into marketing, and the rest is history, man. I just started consulting companies on the side. I started building my personal brand. I started writing content. I started speaking at events. I've spoken at Dreamforce. I've spoken at the LinkedIn Sales Connect conference. Actually, last year alone, I spoke at between webinars and physical events. I spoke at about 15 conferences. And I'm young, right? Did I ever think I was going to have this much amount of career success right now? No. It was a combination of hustle, being at the right time on the right place, lucky / I was lucky, and I was blessed, if you want to call it that. But I've been able to ride this social selling wave in a way that it has been really fascinating to see this whole digital transformation as it relates to sales.
So you see social selling really being a triangle of those things?
Yeah, I would say absolutely, because you can be really good at social media, but if you don't have like business acumen, you don't have an understanding of sales and how it relates to marketing, that tripod is going to be wobbly. That tripod is just going to fall, and it's not going to be balanced. I see people who are really good at marketing, but they suck at talking with people. I see people who are really good at sales, but their personal brand sucks. I see people who are really good at social media, but they don't know how to take a conversation offline. They fail in the social selling friend zone, right? It's a balance that's always evolving. It's, like what social selling is right now is not what it is going to be a year from now.
No. Yes, I agree. Yes.
So yeah, some thoughts on that.
So I mean, what you're somebody. I mean, one of the things that I get is that there's no ROI in social selling. You know, it's just a cult thing, and you know, us gurus basically make it up just to basically earn a living. I mean, what do you say to that?
Yeah, so I was at HireVue for 2.5 years before joining Lucid Software. And I was the social selling director, right? HireVue wanted to tackle the social selling monster with 66 of its sales reps. And I was in charge of coaching, not just coaching and training, it was doing both. Like 80% of training for the first 30 days. And you have to reinforce it with coaching. Like that one-on-one, being in the trenches with the sales reps, becoming good friends with them and things like that. So as soon as I introduced my social selling program, which is a 6-step program, which I can cover later on if you like, but we generated for 7 months, 10.3 million in sales pipeline.
Right.
And out of those 10.3 million in sales pipeline, we closed about 2 to 3 months.
Right. Okay. Sorry, you went a bit fuzzy there.
What's that?
Have you got VPN on?
What's that?
You got VPN on?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I said is, like, within the first 7 months, we were able to close $2 to $3 million directly attributed to social selling, and we generated 10.3 million in pipeline. That's pipeline.
Right. And when you say so 10.3 is that a lot of money? I mean, SAP are currently doing something like €1 billion that they've got attributed to social.
Right. So,
but they're a 30 billion organization.
Yeah. So for where HireVue was at the time, a mid-market SaaS company, that was quite a bit.
Right.
Yeah.
So you definitely see an ROI in social.
Absolutely. So we definitely saw the impact. And then we wanted to scale those efforts immediately, right? And I didn't even bring up in this conversation the multi-touch attribution that social selling brought to the table. So,
okay.
So I mean, that 10.3 was directly influenced. I didn't even talk about the indirect influences that social selling had to move hundreds of deals forward. You know what I mean? I didn't even measure that. I mean, I did measure it, but I haven't brought it up to this conversation, you know. But.
Okay. So you see social selling as being as basically like being a triangle.
Mm-hmm.
And you see it as being part marketing, part sales, and elements of personal branding. So talk us through the 3 points of that triangle. What do you see as being those things? Because you know, quite often people say, well, you know, marketing that's for the marketing department.
Yeah.
I'm a salesperson, that's for the sales department. And they don't see this common trend, which I see, is that the sales and marketing now are kind of one, or need to be thought of as one.
Yeah. So I want to focus on the personal branding aspect, and personal branding is kind of tricky because everybody has a different definition, and it might vary depending on which industry you're in, right? So how you develop your personal brand in the retail industry is going to be different than how you develop your personal brand in the fashion industry, or how you develop your brand in the software industry. So my experience lies specifically in B2B software. So for those of you listening out there, you know, this is what's been tactical to me in the B2B software space. So my good friend John Ferrara, he's the CEO and founder of Nimble. He kind of came up with this thing called the 4 Ps of personal branding.
What? Sorry?
What's that?
The what did he call it?
The 4 Ps of personal branding.
Right.
And I kind of tweaked those 4 Ps and changed their names.
Okay.
Personal brand, my personal brand. So number 1, you need to find your purpose.
Yes.
Right? So what is your purpose? What is the reason?
Find your purpose. Yeah.
Exactly. What is the reason of your existence? Why do you get up every day out of your bed and do the things you do, right? You need to find your purpose. You need to find, literally, like, sit down, go to the mountains, turn off your phone, turn off electronics, and meditate. I mean, you don't have to be religious to figure this out. You just need to literally concentrate and figure out what are you good at, right? And that leads me to the next P, which is passion. And
Right.
people confuse passion with purpose all the time. Okay, and let me explain the differences here. My passion is to teach and coach people how they can use social media for sales, right? So, I'm sorry, that is my purpose, right? My purpose, I want to tell the whole world how easy this is and how doable it is, and it's not rocket science. That's my purpose. My passion then becomes, what's the best way I can achieve, right, and facilitate my purpose? So the best way that I can achieve my purpose is by doing interviews like this, by doing webinars, by speaking. And it so happens to be that my passion aligns seamlessly with my purpose, because when I share content, which is my passion, it aligns with my purpose, which I want to teach people what social media is. So I think people like you and I have been really lucky that our passion, our purpose has aligned automatically to a degree.
Yeah, I had a colleague come to me and say that they were selling human capital management software or HR software, and they said, "Well, I sell that, therefore that's what my passion." I said, "No. I said, I said you're not going to get. You shouldn't be going online and saying, have I got a piece? Because that's just like have I got some HCM software for you?" And he says, "Well, I'm quite interested in work-life balance." I said, "That's your passion." Because and I said, what you need to be doing is talking about work-life balance, writing about work-life balance, because ultimately that will help sell you some HCM software. But there's no reason why your passion isn't talking about all of those, work-life balance.
No, that's a great point, and I love it. And for example, and then there's also this misconception of follow your passion, right? Well, my passion was, even until this day, basketball. Like, I love basketball, but I know, and I'm self-aware that I'm 5'8". I'm not that tall.
I didn't want to say anything.
My passion is also snowboarding, but I suck at snowboarding, even though we have mountains here in my back.
You look like a snowboarder, though.
Yeah, I know. With this on right now. So whatever you're passionate about, make sure that it aligns with your purpose, but you have to be self-aware. You have to be self-aware of what you're good at and what you're not good at. And one of the best ways I found how to find out what you're good at is just by asking your family. Your family will tell you straight up what you're good at and what you don't. And you might say, well, my family doesn't know what I do for my profession or this or that. It does not matter. I would say ask your top 20 friends or family members what you're good at and what you're not good at, and then try to figure out what you're good at with their input. So anyway, that's the second P. That's passion. Then you want to prioritize. Prioritize your plan. So that's the third P, prioritize. Because in this day and age, with so many different notifications, right, on my phone, on my smartwatch, on my beats, right, there's so many distractions, and I will get nothing done, right? So you need to prioritize your day. And there's a lot of studies and a lot of different ways of how you can prioritize your day. I'm not going to get into that, but you have to prioritize your day. Otherwise, you won't advance your personal brand. And then the last P is for patience. You need to be patient. I mean, I just got Twitter verified today,
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
I know, thanks. It took me 4 years. You know what I mean? Like, people are like, people might see me like, oh, who is this gay guy wearing a beanie or a hat? And then he just got Twitter verified. Who is he? He came out of nowhere and all of a sudden he's successful. It's taken me 4 freaking years, and I work on the freaking weekends. You know what I mean? For you to like, you took sleepless nights, years of knowledge, data, and experience that you.
There's no overnight sensation.
Exactly.
You get stuff through working hard.
Exactly. There's no shortcuts for success when it comes to social media and personal branding. So patience, the last 4 P's. So those are the 4 P's for personal brand that have given you a foundation to elevate my game, right, when it comes to sales marketing, right? And then when it comes to sales, social selling won't work if you don't understand sales. You need to understand, going back to business acumen, like just business ethics. You need to understand how people communicate you need to be smart. If I'm going to go meet with the board of directors, I'm most likely not going to get dressed like this, right? I might up my game, right? You have to be smart. You have to be savvy. You need to be self-aware and just always be pivoting in your strategy sales, whether it's cold calling or whether it's cold emailing. And expanding a little bit more on those points, I'm not against cold calling. I'm not against cold emailing. If you do your research and if you gather sales intelligence with social selling, okay? Because if I identify, going back into a little bit of the buyer insights side of things, social media is the most powerful tool out there to gather sales intelligence on any individual. And in the B2B space, we have it so easy. I mean, people in B2B, they don't really know who their buyer is. They don't really know who's buying in real time, right? To a degree. Whereas in B2B, you just have to go to LinkedIn and then you know your buyer's first and last name. You know everything about your buyer.
Yeah.
But for some reason, we're still cold calling them and we're still sounding stupid and idiotic. So my point is that do your homework. The sales intelligence is out there. It's a matter of like creating a cadence and then scaling that cadence. And that brings me to my marketing point. You need to become a digital savvy marketer if you're going to be in sales, because you cannot rely on marketing for leads 24/7. You need to be able to create your own self-source leads so you can control your destiny. So,
yeah, Jack Kowinski wrote an article, which is it's my favorite of his, which is that sales is not a waiting game.
I like that.
and you know, sales isn't about sitting there waiting for the leads to come in. You need to actually be out there generating something for yourself. And obviously he writes about how you actually can do that.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, I think that we as salespeople can be too reliant on other people. And at the end of the day, it's our number. We've got to make it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there has to be a certain amount of marketing in us to actually go out and work out a way of doing that. You can use a telephone. So I used to run cold calling days, and I remember this one salesman saying to me, he said, "Well, that was a waste of time." I said, "Why's that?" He said, "Well, I phoned loads of people and nobody was in. All I got was voicemail." He said, "Surely there must be a better way." And I said, "Well, maybe there is, you know."
Yep.
But sometimes getting over that, getting salespeople to write their own content is difficult. Because again, it's seen as being a marketing thing, and you know, people need to stop thinking about it's different. You know, it's a kind of we have a saying in the UK, job's worth, where someone said, "Well, it's my, you know, it's better, it's worse than my, you know, my job won't allow me to do that," and it's like, you know, come on, you know, this is about making a number and doing all the things that you can do to actually do that, rather than saying that's for Janice in marketing. You know, Janice has got lots of other things that she's got to do, and she actually, sorry, but making your number probably isn't one of those.
Exactly. Yeah, and along the same lines of what you said about writing content, we just did a competition as soon as I was hired 6 months ago here at Lucia Software. You know, we were lacking in content, and we did the business competition, not just in sales, but company-wide, where we ran a competition that says, "Hey, everybody, we're going to do a company competition or something like that. We're going to give away a flat screen TV, 2 Apple TVs, and a bunch of gift cards to the piece of content that gets the most views from within a week of the day it's published."
Wow.
And then literally we got like 60+ blog posts submitted from our own internal employees, right? So we had content to cover us for 2 months or more while we were actually looking for a content person.
Right.
So, and we were able to do this, right? It got a ton of website traffic. And even from within blog posts, I was able to spin off webinars because I was paying close attention which ones got the most views. Whichever one got the most views, I would think, okay, if people are liking or digging this specific content, then obviously people might like a webinar topic out of it. So it all comes down to getting approval or getting buy-in from the leadership team. You know, going back to your questions, like, should sales be writing, yes or no? It all comes down to your leadership team, your industry, and your bandwidth, if you're hitting your numbers or not. Depending on that is, then I would say you need to sit down and analyze and say, okay, can I give my sales reps 30 minutes a day to write content? And what's the ROI of that content? If you're going to write content just to write content, that's just going to benefit the sales reps and that's it. It's not going to benefit the company. But if you have, if you're going to have a measurement, an ROI system in place, that's going to help you measure the ROI. But even though I'm aware that there is tangible and intangible results from content, I'm strictly aware of that. But at the same time, to justify the ROI immediately, you want to be able to measure that right away. But I guarantee you that in 2 to 3 years from now, we won't need to measure that. Hey, should sales reps be measuring? I'm sorry, should sales reps be writing content or not? It's going to be an automatically yes. It's like saying like, hey, is phone a good, channel to communicate with buyers? Of course it is. Why would you measure that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree, and I know that in some cases, I mean, we're writing content for salespeople, so we're ghostwriting content for people.
Another way.
Where we'll actually do it for them, and then we're able to take a far greater view in terms of the whole integrated marketing approach.
Okay.
Where there's a tone of voice, there's a particular message that needs to be got over, there's a particular brand look, and also there may be some certain words that they want to get in there because of SEO.
Exactly.
And I think sometimes, you can have a free for all, but I think there's also a sort of like a mid ground where you can actually make sure that, and really employee advocacy should be a point where,
big time.
All the employees, or certainly the employees that are engaged, should be looking to actually write content. Mm-hmm. And really what employee advocacy should be about is sharing other employees' things that they've written, because if they've got those 4 Ps, the passion and the purpose, and the passion, the purpose, and the priority, and the patience,
yep,
and you've got all that into an article, then you in effect got a whole bunch of fantastic articles that you would want to share.
Exactly.
So your methodology,
mm-hmm.
7-step methodology. So what's the 7 steps then?
Yeah, the 6 steps. It could be 7 steps.
6 steps.
Yeah. So the 6 steps. Number 1 is, let's say you want to start doing social selling.
Yeah.
And it's very similar to yours. I mean, I've read parts of your book and I've read things here and there. I'm not gonna lie. I need to read the whole thing from cover to cover. But I think all of our methodologies, like whether it's yours or Jack's or mine or whoever's, they all kind of are the same thing, just tweaked to our different personal style. So what I realized, let's say I have 20 sales reps I want to coach on social selling. What I want to do then is I want to make sure that they understand what social selling is. So you want to start with number 1, what is social selling? What's the impact that social selling has had in the past? What's the impact that social selling has right now? Have we crossed the chasm? Are you a laggard? Are you a mover and shaker? Where are you right now? Measure their understanding of social selling. Do they even know how to open a tab? Do they even have a LinkedIn account? So understand where they're at as a team and as an individual, and help them understand where social selling is going to be a year from now, 2 years from now. So they catch the vision, and this becomes something that they want to do. This becomes something that they need to do, and they, instead of they want. Okay, so step number 1 is social selling intro. Step number 2 then becomes optimization. How can you optimize your social media profiles to fit not your recruiters or not your friends or family, but how can you optimize your profiles to fit your buyers? Not singular, but plural, multiple buyers. If I want to penetrate SAP, right, I'm not going to go find 7 buyers. Are you kidding me? I need to go find 100 buyers. Okay, so that way I can work consensus and penetrate multiple departments. That way they can agree on who we are and the product and service we have. So I like to say that you are who Google, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook say you are. Okay, right. it doesn't matter, okay, who you are, but your personal brand is going to matter more than ever. And this is the first time in history that's ever mattered more than ever because everything's searchable. Twitter's searchable. LinkedIn, believe it or not, I found a trick on mobile. I can find anything that anyone has posted as an update. Google's obviously searchable. Facebook's searchable. Google Plus, anything searchable. So you, as a sales rep, you have the advantage and you have the opportunity of embedding yourself in the sales process directly and indirectly. If you optimize your profiles the right way with the right messaging, they will become your digital worldwide billboard. So if you're not doing it, then you're literally chose not to put a billboard on the busiest freeway in the world. That's really how I see it. So that's step number 2. Step number 3 is listening. How can you listen, right, for those buying intents, for those trigger events? So you have to carefully do your homework. You have to carefully listen. And then you have to just be patient. Okay, so that's number 3, listening. Number 4 then is engaging. So how can you, after you listen, how can you engage in a traditional and in a new hybrid, new sales age way? Meaning, how can you figure out a cadence where it says, okay, I'm going to call, email, then I'm going to do a social activity on LinkedIn, then I'm going to go to Twitter, and then I'm going to call. You know what I mean?
So one of the things that we're doing for our we run social selling for one of our clients, and one of the things that we do is that we look at the contacts, and then we start making we'll connect with them. We then start looking at what they're posting, and then what we do is that we then work out how to have a conversation with them, just as you would if I didn't know you and I walked up to you in a networking event. I'd have a cup of tea and you'd have a coffee. Exactly. And you say, so where you travelled from today? Well, I've come from, and just start off that conversation, just as you would do as if it was face to face.
Exactly. No, that's exactly it.
So listening.
So we got number 1, social selling intro. Number 2 is optimization. Number 3 is listening. Number 4 is engagement. Number 5 is social commitment. And the reason I say social commitment is because what happens is a lot of sales reps get really comfortable at getting the buyer's attention. They get really good at it, believe it or not, Tim. And then what happens is after they get a hold of the buyer, they don't know how to transition offline. They become these, I like to say, and Jack has been quoting this, they get stuck in the social selling friend zone, right?
Right.
The social selling friend zone is where you get to a degree where you think you're going to get some action and you don't, right? So the deal just stalls. And then if for some reason sales reps get scared just because they're behind a computer screen, that if they call the person or if they push them, it might ruin their relationship because they just built a lovey, huggy relationship, right?
Right.
And you need to.
So it's a bit like I know you're a married man, and I'm sort of married as well. But it's a bit like, I guess, like a dating site where you can have a conversation on the dating site, but at some point you're going to have to say, "Come on, we need to go for a coffee."
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly it. It's literally a courting process, a dating process. This whole social selling thing or the whole sales thing. So how can you take the relationship from online to offline?
Yeah. Right.
Then that's step number 5, which is social commitment. Step number 6 is ROI tracking. Is how can you measure and create a predictable social selling model that can be scalable and implemented across the whole organization.
Right.
So those are the 6 steps that I have.
And how are you doing that ROI? What is it that what technique are you using to measure the ROI?
It's a great question, man. So and this is where a lot of people fail, and this is what gives social selling such a bad rep.
Yeah.
People that are either connecting and pitching, because they're skipping the whole listening, engagement, and commitment stage, and the people who don't measure it. Because what happens, sorry, as a side note, I'm super passionate about this. Let's say some sales rep decides to do social selling, and their whole team is not on board with social selling. Then if they're getting measured on number of dials and numbers of activities, and all of a sudden they're spending all their day on social media, their manager's going to be like, "What are you doing? Like, where's the ROI on what you're doing? So it is vital, if not crucial, for the existence of a sales force to measure the ROI of social selling. So what we've done is, and this is a process, right? That I'm starting to slowly implement here at Lucius Software. You know, being here 6 months, this is not something that I can come in and here, bam, 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 switch overnight. It takes time. But what I was able to do successfully at HireVue is we were able to tweak our existing CRM of choice, which is Salesforce. We were actually able to add new activity types. So that way, when a sales rep, a setter, or BDR, SDR connected with you, Tim, on LinkedIn, they would mark that in the CRM saying, I did a social activity. And then there would be a subcategory that says, in that social activity, then I did, it was a LinkedIn activity. It was a Twitter activity. So you want to create new sales activity types to suit and to fit the social selling model you're implementing. So whether that's a checkbox in your CRM or whether that's, having the sales reps type something, just how you have, right, you log activities. So you say, I did 5 dials, or you log activities such as like emails. You want to be able to log social selling activities. And that is simple to say, like what I'm telling you right now, super hard to deploy and scale because sales operations has to be involved. And then your VP of sales has to be involved. And then marketing has to be involved. And then, everybody has to be involved to a degree. But that's currently the best way, I would say, from my opinion. If you're not measuring it in your CRM to a degree, which you have to customize your CRM to fit social selling, then you're missing out, and you might as well not be social selling, I would say.
I mean, I'm aware of an organization that they did that in Salesforce, and they put in those activities.
Yeah.
And the people that created the most pipe with those activities got an Apple Watch.
Oh, nice.
Now there was the cynics out there will say, yeah, but people will just go in and tag everything. Yeah, well, maybe they do. But even if you say, you've got $10 million, even if you created $4 million and the other $6 million is people just tagging stuff because they want the Apple Watch, you've still created $4 million of social pipeline. And 4 million is better than nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that's been brilliant. Anything else you want to share, Gabe?
No, if anybody has any questions or would like to continue talking about social selling, I mean, you and I can talk about social selling all day. So great topic.
So where can people get hold of you?
Yeah, so the best way is LinkedIn, Gabe Villamizar.
So how do you spell that?
So Gabe, Gabe, and then Villamizar is V as in Victor, ILLAMIZAR.
Brilliant, fantastic.
So on
and you're on Twitter as well because you're now verified.
That's right. You can find me on Twitter. I'm verified. So I'm a
yeah.
big deal.
Good. Thank you so much for that. It's been really insightful, Gabe.
Thanks for inviting me. This has been great.
Have a good day, and I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, for sure.
Thanks. Bye.